Good morning, everybody. It's your girl Miracle Sims, and you are listening to God, Sex, and Love. Your daily dose of inspiration and juice. It is January the 24th, 2023, and today the topic is Gird the Herd. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday, everybody. I hope that you all had a great day yesterday. Mine was just fine. Not too much to report. I just was kind of hustling at home. How did I used to call it? Hustling from home. Kind of hustling from home yesterday, helping out one of my aunts. Looking to quite a bit of different things. Had a slight conversation with a homegirl, and then outside of that, man, was trying to get some rest or whatever. And be a mom and a wife and all that. So yeah, that's what yesterday looked like. Um, I was taking in some good content as well, which I might get into in a moment. So this topic, gird the herd. I mean, whew, if you want to know where the inspiration came from, here it is. So first of all, the Lord woke your girl up around 12:41 last night, or early this morning, 12:41. And I look up in the Strong's Concordance what 12:41 had to say. Um, I guess I tried to go back to sleep in between then and 4 a.m. Um, and I guess I did at some point, but I think I was up for a while. Um, Catching the things that I had missed, obviously, because people like to call me when I'm asleep, apparently, or people like to send me messages or whatever. So I was catching up on some of that stuff. Went back to sleep, woke up around 4 at the sound of my alarm, and started to get into the routine of waking up and seeing what the Lord wants me to study and all that good stuff. I listened to my prayer meditation. Unfortunately, I don't remember because I was engulfed in Gird the Herd. But it was good for what I can remember, I guess. But honestly, the Soul Space app is always good. Y'all know that I've been listening to it ever since the beginning. I'm not sponsored by them or anything. I'm just letting y'all know that it is something that helps me transition from being asleep to actually getting my mind and heart on the Lord and everything like that. So yeah. I mean, I guess this will be something that I share to the future group of the juice, the future juicers that are going to be working with me. I'm praying for those individuals and everything like that. We're going to see how these small groups go, the ones I'm supposed to be hosting at Mountain West Church and everything like that. For those that are interested, I guess I need to make a link, but if you go to Mountain West, or no, if you go to mwchurch.com/small groups, you should see the information there about the groups that I'm hosting. Again, mine is called The Juice. And then the other one is called The Miracle Lab with Madam Miraculous. So yeah. But anywho, so that's I guess I'll go through this process with people. I'm trying to like kind of take some notes on like different content that I come across or different things that hopefully can encourage and inspire people on their journey to daily Bible study. Anywho, so Gird the Herd. So the interesting thing is the title pretty much came from what I found in the Strong's Concordance. One number represented gird, and the other one represented herd. And the interesting thing was, like, I looked that up. It didn't necessarily resonate at that moment. I started looking up Bible verses since around 12:41, and it led me to Luke 12:41, which I ended up pretty much reading the entire Luke 12, but I definitely read Luke 12:32 through 58. Through 59. And that's where things started to come together, because when I was reading those verses, I saw that the title of that section, the one I just gave you, Luke 12:32 through 59, the title of that section was called The Little Flock. And that made me think about the Strongs again. So I went back to the Strongs. I was like, that's interesting. So I looked at the definition of flock, which was pretty much like a group of birds that live, feed, all this stuff together, right? And then I also looked up the definition of herd, which was the same thing, except it said like cattle, which I did write that definition down for herd. So we'll talk about that in a second, I guess. But those two things is what put, I guess, everything together, or made me focus on this idea of girding the herd, or honestly, it made me think about the remnant. That's another thing as well. And I thought that's what I was going to call today's episode, the remnant, because I felt like this might be a message for us, right? Those that are in the remnant, and it is, I think. But when I went back to the Strongs and I looked at these definitions and everything like that, Gird the Herd just really stood out to me to make it the topic or the title for today. And so, yeah. So let's look at that, right? Let's look at what that means according to the definitions, right? So the definition of gird says encircle a person or part of the body with a belt or band. And then the second definition says prepare oneself for something difficult or challenging. I found that interesting when I came across it this morning, because usually when I think of the word gird, I would always think about the belt, right? I would always think about the band or what it's saying. Even the biblical definition as well says prepare for action. And I would usually think of that as well. But to see that second definition, that part that says prepare for something difficult or challenging, it stood out to me this morning, and it was very interesting. I'm like, okay, Lord, so is this what you want the remnant to do? Prepare for something difficult or challenging? Is that why you're telling me gird the herd this morning? I don't know. But anyway, then I looked up the definition of herd. Now, when I looked up the definitions, the second definition stood out to me a little bit more than the first. But just to, say what the first one says, it says large group of animals, especially hooved animals, that live, feed, or migrate together, or are kept together as livestock. Now, the interesting thing about that, like I said, when I looked up the definition of flock, it said the same thing, except it said birds. So again, like I found that to be very interesting. It seemed like this idea of flock or herd or remnant, however you want to look at it, this group of individuals, right, that are living the same, feeding the same, moving the same. That really stood out to me this morning. Speaking of moving, the second definition says move in a particular direction. So that's another thing as well. Like I said, that stood out to me the most. Actually, the second definition of both of these definitions that I just gave is what stood out to me the most. So the first one is telling us to prepare oneself for something difficult or challenging. And then the other one is saying move in a particular direction. Now, listen, I don't know if y'all are, letting this resonate in your heart, souls, and minds, but I feel like there has been a call for us to do this as believers, like for a while now. So, I mean, it's like confirmation to me, but hey, by all means, those that have the eyes to see, please see. And those that have the ears to hear, please hear. The word migrate stood out to me as well when I read that definition in herd. And migrate says move from one region or habitat to another. According to the seasons. So listen, look, what I'm receiving just by these definitions alone is that we need to, all right, the ones that really stand out to me is what I'm receiving here, is that we need to prepare ourselves for something difficult or challenging. We need to move in a particular direction. And then it's also telling me that we also need to move from one region or habitat to another according to the seasons, y'all. Okay. We ain't even got into the Bible yet, but Listen, that's already a word for those that again hear and see. I feel like that is already a word for us. Gird the herd, y'all. Gird the herd. So, as I told y'all, I was led to Luke 12 in particular, and yeah, I guess I started to take a bit of a deep dive. Like I said, I really focused on Luke 12 through 32 through 59. But instead of reading all of that, because you guys can do that on your own, because it is in the Go Deeper section, right? I'm going to read to you all the verses that really stood out to me as I was deep diving into Luke this morning. So this is what stood out, okay? Luke 12 and 32 stood out. It says, "Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom." So even if we are going to be facing something difficult, right? What I'm receiving here is that we don't have anything to fear, because it's, God is going to give us the kingdom. It's his good pleasure to give us the kingdom. So don't be afraid or anything like that. In spite of what we might see or go through. All right, so let's keep going. Luke 12 and 34 stood out to me this morning as well. And it says, "For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also." Now, it was interesting because I was debating about writing this one down because I didn't necessarily feel like it went with Gird the Herd. But at the same time, it really was standing out. So I did write it down, as you guys could see, because I just read it to you, right? But I mean, again, when you do the deep dive into everything that Luke 12 has to say, I mean, obviously it shows the importance of, I guess realizing where your treasure is, right? And everything like that. But I mean, I guess I just find it very interesting because like, um, oh Lord. Okay. Well, a few things. So there's some content that I've been taking in. Yesterday I took in some content, like some updates about the stuff that was coming out last week about, that Tasha K was sharing about Larry Reed and all this different type of stuff like that. I also was listening to that. I can't remember the name of the channel, but there was a gentleman that was discussing Chris Broussard. And then I was also watching Marcus Rogers and whatnot. The thing that I can appreciate about, I guess, all of those individuals that I just named, like Tasha K, the other gentleman that shared the other story, Mr. Chris Broussard and Marcus Rogers, is I feel like these are people that are standing up. Now, maybe not, I don't know about Tasha K in regards to like her faith and all of that. But she is being a mouthpiece to, obviously expose, some things. But regardless of that part, right? If I think more so about like Chris Broussard and Marcus Rogers, like they are being a voice for the kingdom. They are being strong voices for biblical principles and everything like that for Christ. And, at some point we may be faced with the difficult choice of, will I stand for what the Lord is saying, right? Or am I going to try to quote unquote save myself, or quote unquote like save my job or save my platform or any of that? Like, are we going to stand on truth of what the Bible has to say, or are we going to like bend and fold? You know, so I definitely have a lot of respect for, like I said, Marcus Rogers, for Chris Broussard, and anybody that is standing for the faith, because I understand how difficult that can be, right? It can be a difficult thing. I was just talking about this yesterday, right? We were talking about, your girl, me, I could probably go viral if I was doing something else, right? But to stand on and do these things for the Lord, I mean, to me, I understand and see how important it is, right? Because again, I'm sitting here telling y'all now that, hey, I'm about to embark on like hopefully sharing with other people, with the small groups that I host at the church, how to do this, what I've been doing over the past few years, hopefully again, the things that I do with the youth, hopefully it will help and encourage them, inspire them to think beyond just looking at science and faith separately. Because I mean, when you really do look at what is being taught to the children or whatever, they're not really incorporating biblical principles when it comes to anything, especially not science. So to take my scientist character, for example, and use her to encourage and inspire them to think about biblical principles alongside of science. I think that would be a beautiful thing, and I'm excited to see what that do for the Christian youth. So anyway, so I'm just saying, you just never know uh when it comes to like your treasures. you know um are you going to be just trying to build up earthly treasures, or are you trying to build up treasure in heaven? um and where your treasure is, your heart will be also. And I think the reason I brought up the whole Tasha K thing is because I know she was revealing some more information and whatnot, and you could tell basically by the fruit of the gentleman's lips that his heart wasn't fully aligned with Christ, like, because again, the fruit of his lips spoke volumes of like where his true alliance um lies. And so, I mean, no judgment, everybody. If you got another breath or another day, I mean, obviously you guys can come to Christ, change your life, change your mind, all that different type of stuff. There's grace for you and everything like that. But at the same time too, I mean, the truth will come to the light. And so if you're faking, right, or if you're not being real, whatever the case is, then um that will be exposed. And unfortunately, that's what's happening to the other gentleman. But let's keep going, y'all. Let's keep going. Let me tell you all what else was standing out to me this morning. So Luke 12:37 and 38 stood out to me this morning as well. It says, blessed are those servants whom the Lord, when he cometh, shall find watching. Verily, I say unto you that he shall gird himself and make them to sit down to meat, and will come forth and serve them. And if he shall come in the second watch, or come in the third watch, and find them, so blessed are those servants. So basically, between the other verses that I shared and these, and maybe even the ones after these, is talking about these servants being ready when their master got home, right? Like, there's the servants being like ready to serve, ready to do whatever their jobs was. Like, as soon as the master got there, he was greeted, he was ready, whatever the case is, everybody was in their position doing what they were supposed to do. And it says here, blessed are the individuals that are like that and that are doing that, and everything like that. And it talks about what that person would do for those individuals. It says here that they would have that that I don't want to misquote. It says, he shall gird himself and make them sit down to meat. And the meat is meat. So it makes me think about like to eat, and everything like that. And so, but it also talks about, again, in the verses after this, it talks about like what it would look like for those that aren't right in the right positions, and not doing their jobs, and not ready and everything like that. So that's might be pulp. Y'all can go look at the pulp for yourself. But that stood out to me this morning to just remind us, it's better for us to be ready, right? To be in our position. Speaking of, this is something that my mom always would tell us growing up, and I feel like it's helped me in my life, and here I am sharing it today. Luke 12 and 40. It says, be ye therefore ready also, for the Son of Man cometh at an hour when ye think not. So yeah, there you go. I mean, obviously, I think my mom was always telling us that, to just be ready when you get asked to do whatever the case is and things like that. And that has helped, because y'all have seen me in interviews be on the spot. Somebody be like, hey, can you do a monologue? And I do something, whatever. I'll be ready to do it. But yeah, how much more, do we need to be ready for Christ's return? How much more do we need to be ready and in the right place at the right time, and everything like that, doing the right thing. So yeah. I mean, let's keep going, y'all, because I got quite a little bit more. Luke 12 and 51 stood out as well. It says, suppose ye that I am come to give peace on earth? I tell you, nay, but rather division. Ooh, that might be Pope. We might not like that. I all I could hear in my mind when I was writing it down is them Christmas songs. Peace on earth, goodwill to men. But according to this, Jesus said out his own mouth that that's not necessarily why he came. Now, I, obviously we can all go deeper with this and get a better understanding X, Y, and Z. I think, but I think there's clear, how can I say, like, I feel like this is clearly being seen in today's times. The verses after this start talking about like families being split up and all these different things. And I mean, can we be honest and say that that's actually happening today? Like that is a real thing, just like it says, father against son, mother against daughter, like all. It even goes to say the mother-in-law against the daughter-in-law, and I'm like, oh Lord, and honestly, those things don't. I don't want to think like that, right? I don't want to be like, oh man, I'm against anybody, right? You want to feel like, we all live in peace and harmony and all those different things. But, again, when you get biblical, right, you can see where divisions come in by those that may not agree, and so that's why I talked about those individuals earlier, the ones that I said, is stepping out on faith, whether it's as harsh of a situation as like somebody putting your head on the chopping block, which I know is a crazy scenario for Americans to think about. But unfortunately, things like this is happening around the world, I mean, with believers. So, it's not that foreign. I mean, even with the Bible, there's plenty of biblical accounts of like these people was facing death. I know Marcus was talking about that yesterday, Brother Marcus. Or at least I saw some of his content that was referring to this yesterday, that that people was actually facing death to stand up for Christ, to share and to say what thus say the Lord and everything like that. What are we facing these days? We're kind of facing being counseled, right? We're facing maybe losing our job. We're facing things along those lines, and and still few stand, right? But thanks be to God for those that do. Let's keep going. I think I got a little bit more. Let me see. Luke. Ooh, all right. More Pope. Luke 12:56. It says, ye hypocrites, ye can discern the face of the sky and of the earth, but how is it that ye do not discern the time? Ooh. Honestly, man, this really stood out to me because I'm like, I'll be asking this like ever since. And I'm not sitting here trying to act like I'm just perfect and I know everything, you know what I'm saying? But all I can say is, since my eyes have been open to so much stuff since 2020, where I'm over here like, how can nobody else see this? Like, and I know other people do see it. I know I'm not alone. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is, I don't know about my circle of influence though. Like, I don't know about the people that I know, like if they see it. And I'm over here like, y'all don't see this? Y'all don't see that? Like even this morning, I came across a post that people had things to say about, I guess, the governor of Florida. And I know Marcus touched on it yesterday, or at least I saw a video that he touched on it. And, and I felt like, like when I saw the post this morning, I felt like commenting with Marcus's video just so they could hear another perspective. Because I think for whatever reason in this season, like, again, the eyes and ears of people are closed. Like they don't see or hear like the real stuff that's going on underlying. Like, we see headlines and titles and we get triggered by those things, and we feel some way, when at the end of the day it's like, no, but when you look deeper, you see why people are making the moves they're making, or you see why, if you care, right? If you care about our children, that's another thing as well. But I guess if you don't, then you, I don't know. But there's a lot going on, y'all. That's all I say like that. There's a lot going on, and I just pray that more people start to see and hear, so we can do something. I mean, I know there's some things that we might not be able to block. Like we can't, hide everything from our children, but I mean, we can at least make some type of moves to shield them or to guard them or to protect them or whatever the case is. Oh Lord, all right. Why you bring this to my mind, Lord? Okay, so everybody keep. I don't know. I know my mom's gonna tune into this. I don't. No offense to nobody. You know what I mean? No family. No offense to nobody. But I've been very honest on here about like how I've been struggling about this idea of putting my son in school and stuff like that, because I feel like it's just so different. Things are just very different from when I was growing up. Like like the stuff that people are talking about and the stuff that people are trying to expose to these kids, even in preschools, from what I'm understanding, I'm over here like, as much as I can, teach him, different things so he won't get the exposure from someone else that I might not want him to get that exposure from. All of that concerns me as a parent, and so, no, my son is not necessarily in preschool right now. Yes, he's 4, you know what I'm saying? And people are like coming on me about that. They're like, oh, but I'm like, I mean, at the end of the day, we'll make the decision. I mean, preschool isn't mandatory, you know what I'm saying? In Georgia, it's not. And my thing is like, the kid is very smart, he's very social. Like, I'm not worried about none of that stuff. I know my husband, we've had some conversations. He's like, oh, well, when it comes to public school, like maybe we should just for the social aspect. But I'm like, I don't think he's an antisocial kid. So we'll see what the Lord do with everything like that. It's not, I know that I can't shield him from school forever, but I'm just saying I'm praying, right, and asking the Lord to lead me and guide me on what that's going to look like for us. And if it looks like homeschool, so be it. You know what I mean? Like, if it looks like something else, then so be it. If it looks like put them in public school, fine, but my thing is, everybody got to be led by their own minds and whatnot. And so I don't know why I'm just saying that came to my heart and mind just a second ago or whatever. It's sometimes, again, I guess the reason I share that is that, like, things may not align the way that people think it should, or things may not, like, I mean, again, you may look silly out here to somebody else to be like, you know what, I'm going to seek the Lord about what to do about this or that. But again, I feel like when you read the Bible, this is what he wants us to do all day, every day. Seek him about what to do. So as I seek the Lord, I've been inclined to do what I'm doing, right? And so, yeah, I mean, I think we all need to do that because there may be a reason at the end of the day. But anyway, okay, let me see. Isaiah 1:9, it says, if the Lord of hosts had not left us a few survivors, we should have been like Sodom, become like Gomorrah. Who, Lord? I mean, I know we out here be like, oh, the remnant, yeah, the remnant, blah, 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 blah. Man, listen, it say even the elect would fall, if the Lord, if it wasn't for God's grace and mercy. So let us all humble ourselves and understand, you know what I mean? That, I mean, I know people are talking about this all the time as well. I feel like I keep talking about Marcus Rogers today, y'all, but I was listening to quite a bit of his content yesterday. But anyway, I know he's talking about like that he feels like we're worse than Sodom and Gomorrah these days. Now, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? I don't know, because I wasn't there to know what Sodom and everything that Sodom and Gomorrah had going on. But America, I mean, is a little bit Sodom and Gomorrah-ish. So I mean, I don't know. But anyway, so speaking of that, Romans 11:5, it says, so too at the present time there is a remnant chosen by grace. So there you go, y'all. Those of us that can't see and hear this season, that is great, right? Get on your job, do whatever it is that the Lord is telling us to do. Understand that it's by God's grace and mercy. None of us can boast or anything like that. And just do our part. That's all I can say. I mean, I done shared a lot this morning. But ultimately, again, the topic was Gird the Herd, and I guess that's the juice. That is the juice. Now, the Bible verse of today is 1 Chronicles 29:11. It says, thine, O Lord, is the greatness and the power and the glory and the victory and the majesty, for all that is in the heaven and in the earth is thine. Thine is the kingdom, O Lord. Thou art exalted as head above all. Friends, I hope you all enjoyed this juice this morning. Thank you so much for listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration, the juice. I pray you guys can go forth and have a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow, if the Lord's will. Bye-bye. There you go, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, anybody listening to the sound of my voice. I hope that you all are encouraged and inspired. Thank you so much for listening, watching, subscribing, sharing, all those wonderful things. I see I had someone tuning in. So hello, good morning to you. Thank you for tuning in. I hope, again, that you are encouraged and inspired. If you want to chit chat with me while I'm here, then drop a comment so I can chit chat with you. If not, by all means, thank you again for tuning in live. Today, oh goodness, okay, so I got a few things to do today. Not too much, but still something. So I'm supposed to do some type of interview today on another platform, So at least it's on the calendar. I didn't get any like confirmations or something, but I'm gonna be ready around that time and see what happens. Outside of that, gonna continue to help my aunt. And what else? I mean, be a mom, be a wife, of course. But aside from that, I need to have a conversation today. I'm supposed to be having like a business conversation. We want to see what the Lord do with that as well. And then that's it. That's it. Yeah, so that's all that's going on with all of that, y'all. But yep. Thank you all again for tuning in. I see somebody else just came. Hey, I just finished doing the juice, y'all. So El Zumo is done, right? But y'all can tune into this. Y'all catch the replay and everything like that. I feel like it was pretty good. Y'all can let me know, yay or nay or whatever. Did you get something? Did you understand something? Did you receive something today? By all means, let your girl know. But all right. Well, I won't be long y'all's time. Y'all have a great Tuesday, and I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow, if the Lord's will. Bye-bye.